from the runner, from the person who gets the tea to the biggest star. We all have a part to play and we all need one another very much.
This is MARC HAIRAPETIan for the film and music magazine Spiritasmileinthestorm and the YouTube channel The Spirit Meets. I had the honor 2.5 years ago. We did the first interview, Sheila.
For Astronaut.
Astronaut. Yeah. And of course, I could also do an interview with one of my all-time favorite heroes, Richard Dreyfuss. Thanks so much. And now you are here again at the JETS initiative and you are the winner. So congratulations for your new project, An Austrian Holiday. Yeah, this is another amazing project. I think also the audience applauded a lot and your pitch was really touching. As I hear from the pitch yesterday, you talked with JUDI Dench, maybe, that she can play the role, the leading part of this Alzheimer lady.
Yes, yes, the script's been sent to her agent. She's Anne's first choice. She's my first choice too, of course, for the role. You know, she gets loads and loads of scripts, obviously, but the agent is reading it and we'll send it on to her. So fingers crossed, eh? I mean, she's a wonderful actor, so yeah.
So you see,
I was just saying, I wrote it with Judy in mind. She was completely the actress I had in my head when I was writing it. So that's why it's gone to her first. Obviously, we know that now she's, you know, her eyesight is not as good as it was, and that is a slight problem for her, but we're very hopeful, of course. You have to go with your dream, don't you? Yeah.
But you have to name it that she is the first choice. So you must write it to her or send, so then...
Exactly what we've done.
But I think also this is a good thing with your projects, Sheila, also that you could win Richard Dreyfuss for Astronaut, yeah, because you have wonderful stories, yeah. It's always a personal touch in your stories, yeah. I think this is what makes you exceptional, also what I know from you. So yeah, and now you are satisfied. You think also maybe here at the JETS initiative, this win can help you a lot?
Yeah, I hope it can, because it certainly helped with Astronaut last win when we were last here. And in fact, winning JETS 4 years ago, was it 4 years ago, Mark? I can't remember. It was instrumental in us getting finance for Astronaut, because then it was called the competition. And actually, I don't know if I told you, when I first met Richard Dreyfuss, and I said to him, you know, I'm so pleased you said yes, we can't wait to work with you. And the first thing he said is, you're going to have to change the title, you know. And I said, why? Why? I love the competition. He said, I did a movie called The Competition. And I said, oh, well, Richard, nobody will remember. That was ages ago. And he said, oh, no, they will. So then we had this big sweepstake on the set. Who could come up with the next name? And I came up with Astronaut. and then I said to Richard Dreyfuss, it's Astronaut. And he said, yeah. And I said, do you know what astronaut means? It means sailor to the stars. And he went, I like it. And that was it. That's why it was called Astronaut. But it was massively helpful. JETS was brilliant and very, very supportive. And I think they're supportive of all the teams. Winning, not winning, it's just being here that is incredibly helpful. And Anne has written the most beautiful script, An Austrian Holiday. And my God, I'm determined to help her make this film.
So, how long did you need for writing this script? What kind of work in progress was it?
The first draft, because I was writing to a certain extent from personal experience, because my mother had Alzheimer's, and that was the seed for the film. Because she said to me when she was sort of on her way out, really, I just want to go to Austria. Because she'd got Austria muddled up with Switzerland in her mind. And she wanted to go to a Dignitas clinic in Switzerland, but she was convinced it was Austria, absolutely fixed. And so that was the germ of the story, that the lead, the protagonist, gets herself off to Austria looking for an assisted suicide clinic, and she's in the wrong country and she's muddled, and then her daughter has to come and rescue her, and they go on a road trip through the mountains. So the first draft came very, very quickly, because it was very much from my own experience, and it was sort of quite therapeutic, I think, as often when you write something like that. But then it's been honed and rewritten. And so I met Sheila at Writers Lab, the Meryl Streep Writers Lab, a few years ago. And that was, I don't know how many drafts it's gone through since then, but that's when we first got together and met. And Sheila read the script then and sort of said she would try and help me make it. But yes. So.
And where do you like or want to shoot it? In a real suicide clinic, for example, if there's permission for it, or have you any idea where you shoot the film?
Well, we'd love to shoot it in Europe, of course. The majority of the film, I think, could be well shot here. We need mountains as backdrop. Austria, perhaps. You know, be great to shoot there. They have very, very good film incentives, and it's a funny thing because it's a very authentic film and it's a very genuine film and it's a heartfelt film. And I think to have this background is so crucial. Obviously, you'd have to shoot some practically, but some in a studio as well. So, yeah.
And we work again with the composer from Astronaut, yeah?
Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia, yeah. This was also a beautiful soundtrack. So you like also when you work again on the next project with you have always the same team, like family, or you think I choose the one who's of course the best maybe for cinematography for this project or composing the soundtrack? What do you think?
Well, Anne, obviously you have your own ideas. For my personal preference, I like working with a team again because you all know each other. You know the personalities. You know how everybody likes to work. You know their stress points. You know they're talented. And I'm a big collaborator, so I've been very lucky with the team I've worked with so far. Sometimes, you know, obviously a new DP comes in, a director of photography, and they can bring something very new and fresh and different. I've worked with Virginia Kilbertus again on my short film I just did, which is a proof of concept of another film I'm hoping to make. And again, she turned in a beautiful script, so I'd always like to work with her. But Anne, you've got...
I mean, actually, Sheila sent me Virginia's music link, and I do, you know, potentially she might be the composer we work with. I think the idea is that when you're making a film, you create a family, and it is all about collaboration. I don't think people always understand that. It's how much it is about collaboration, from the runner, from the person who gets the tea to the biggest star. We all have a part to play and we all need one another very much. So I think we will, if we are shooting on location as well, I think particularly with the new emphasis on making sure that all our filming is as environmentally friendly as possible, we would obviously try to use local crew where we can to minimize traveling, but also because we want to make use of the fact that we're using people who know the location and are familiar with that territory as well. But it's probably some of the very close creative partners, for example, the director of photography will probably be people that we've worked with before and we know, yes. So.
Sounds good. And Sheila, you're also actress, yeah, and actor, and of course become famous first with it. So you still want to be an actor, or you focus now just on being a director?
Honestly, Mark, I prefer being behind the camera now. I feel that I wish I'd started this journey earlier. But again, as we talked about before, it was not. I've worked with 4 female directors as an actor in my life. It wasn't. There was not the opportunity. There really wasn't. And I've been an actor since I was a little girl. And so that's a very, very long time. But I still, if a project comes along and I love it, I would still like to do it. I'm still very interested in acting, but I feel that it's so much more, for me, it's been a long burning dream to be behind the camera and to be writing and the whole process. And I love the whole journey of directing because you're with the team for a long time. When you're an actor, you go onto a movie shoot, you're there 5 days, 3 weeks, 5 months, whatever, and you go. But with a film, you're on it for 3 years, you really, and I love that whole process of starting at the beginning and you are going through all those stages with the crew, with the cast, with the post-production, with the sales, with the audience, I don't want to say it's like giving birth, but it's like having a baby,
But is it not also sometimes exhausting, such a long project for 4 or 5 years? Because sometimes maybe you come to a point where you don't know if you can really realize it, yeah, especially in the beginning, of course, but also sometimes maybe you need a little longer time, you work on it, but then there's no financing or something like that. So question to both of you who have the dream and the wish to realize it. So is it sometimes also exhausting, or is it always just beautiful, this long time project?
Quickly, and then over to Anne. I went to see, when I was trying to make Astronaut, I had almost given up. And, you know, I've been banging on about this script that I'd written in a writing class, you know, years ago. And I went to see Zoran Velkovic, a DP that we have both worked with, a wonderful Serbian DP that lives in England. He's brilliant. He's got one of the best eyes in the business. And he's an amazing director of photography with actors as well. And I went to see him, and I was just brokenhearted. And I said, you know what, Zoran? I'm giving up. I can't do it. I can't get the money. I can't. And he said, you can't give up. And I said, well, what should I do? And he said, well, what's the alternative? You give up, you never make your movie. You have to keep going. And I went, yeah. And I just needed that. And that's what Anne and I are talking about, that we're on this journey together. We love working together. I love working with her. She's a really talented director and brilliant writer. But we're on a journey now, and we just have to keep going.
Yeah, and how is it for you?
I think that it's perseverance. Somebody did say the difference between movies getting made and not made is perseverance. Is the people who give up. The ones that don't get made are the people who give up. And I really think that's true. I also think you have to have the projects. There are some projects that will come and will go. And there are other projects which are deep to you, which you will never give up. And I think in the case of this particular film, because it is quite deep to me, I'm never going to give this one up. And I couldn't, I just had to keep going. And I mean, it's very good to have a partnership. It's hard to do it on your own. You need a team to keep, and we have to buck one another up. If somebody feels a bit down, then the other person can say, it's fine, come on, let's go, you know, yeah. Okay.
And should also not give up, and you will do it, of course, I'm sure. Last question for now to you, Sheila. As you know, my second all-time favorite actor is PeterOToole. My first is Oscar Werner, the third is Marlon Brando. And you had the honor and possibility also to work with Peter. So, because in our last interview we talked out of the records. So please tell me your memories on Peter, about your work with him. How was it, please?
He was an extraordinary man. I worked with him twice, actually, and then I went to audition the third time for him. I played Clara Eynsford-Hill in Pygmalion, and actually I was second choice for the role. And the first actor who got the role was Wendy Crewson, and she dropped out because she couldn't do it. So I then got the role. And Peter was extraordinary. I mean, everybody says, you know, I'm sure Marlon Brando the same. I'd never worked, obviously, with Marlon, but PeterOToole had this charisma. It was like looking at Saturn. You know, he radiated. He was a very good-looking man, and you know, very attractive man. And he knew I was nervous, and he put his arm around me on the first day and was extremely wonderful to work with, giving me little tips on the way, because I was only like 25 years old when I went, 26 years old, and it was brilliant to work with. And just the camera on him, I can't, it's that spark, it's connection. But the second time or third time I met him, it was for a big play in the West End. And I went back and back and back and auditioned again and again and again. And I so wanted this part. And he was so supportive. I can't tell. I mean, I feel he was willing me to get it. And in the end, they chose a wonderful actress called Tara Fitzgerald, who was a husky, brilliant brown hair, a bit like me, a couple of years younger. And but he was just, wrote me a brilliant letter afterwards, and he was just lovely. I loved him.
Yeah, great. Thank you for these statements. So I wish both of you all the best, of course, for your very personal project, and keep on touch, and keep me also informed when it comes out, yeah, to the cinema.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.